When signing a lease for an apartment or house, it's crucial to carefully review the agreement to avoid potential pitfalls. A lease agreement is a legally binding contract that outlines the terms of your tenancy, and certain clauses can lead to financial or legal complications if not properly understood. Below are the top 10 red flags in a lease agreement that you should watch out for before committing to a rental property. 1. Unclear rent payment terms. One of the most important aspects of a lease is the rent payment clause. If the lease doesn't clearly specify the amount of rent, due dates, grace periods, and late fees, it's a major red flag. A vague rent payment clause could lead to disputes or unexpected charges down the road. What to look for? Ensure the lease specifies the exact rent amount, payment deadlines, acceptable payment methods, and any late fees or penalties for missed payments. Any ambiguity should be clarified before you sign. 2. Excessive security deposit. While security deposits are standard practice, excessive deposits can be a red flag. Many states have laws that limit the amount a landlord can charge for a security deposit, often capping it at 1 or 2 months' rent. What to look for? Check local rental laws to verify if the deposit amount exceeds the legal limit. If it does, negotiate with the landlord to lower it to the legal maximum. 3. Automatic lease renewal clauses. Some lease agreements include automatic renewal clauses that bind you to another lease term unless you opt out before a specified date. If you miss this deadline, you could be stuck in a lease for an additional term without your consent. What to look for? Carefully review the automatic renewal clause and note the notice period required to opt out. Ensure you understand the penalties for failing to provide notice on time. 4. Ambiguous maintenance responsibilities. The lease should specify who is responsible for maintenance tasks such as fixing plumbing issues, HVAC repairs, and appliance maintenance. If the lease places the entire burden of maintenance on you as the tenant, this can lead to unexpected costs. What to look for? Make sure the lease clearly defines maintenance responsibilities. If repairs are required, the landlord should be responsible for major repairs, while tenants might be responsible for minor tasks like replacing light bulbs or unclogging drains. 5. Restrictions on modifications or personalization. Landlords may have strict policies regarding alterations to the rental property, such as painting walls, hanging pictures, or installing shelves. However, some leases may be overly restrictive, preventing you from making any personal touches to your space. What to look for? Ensure the lease specifies which alterations are allowed and under what circumstances. If the lease is too restrictive, try negotiating more flexibility or clarifying what types of changes are permissible. 6. Broad or vague subletting terms. If you plan on subletting your apartment or allowing someone else to take over your lease, the lease agreement should clearly outline the rules surrounding subletting. Vague language or restrictions on subletting can put you in a difficult position if you need to move before the lease ends. What to look for? Ensure the lease includes clear terms regarding subletting, including whether it is allowed, any required approvals, and the process for transferring your lease to another person. 7. Inconsistent or inaccurate property description. Make sure that the lease accurately reflects the property you're renting. If the property description contains discrepancies or leaves out essential details about the unit, such as square footage, amenities, or the condition of appliances, this can cause confusion or dissatisfaction later on. What to look for? Double-check the description of the property, amenities, and appliances listed in the lease against what you observed during your walkthrough. Ensure that everything matches up. 8. Unreasonable late fees or penalties. While landlords are allowed to charge late fees if rent is not paid on time, these fees should be reasonable. Unreasonably high late fees or penalties can be a financial burden and an unfair practice. What to look for? Verify that late fees are clearly stated in the lease and check that they're within a reasonable range. In many states, late fees must be proportional to the rent amount, and anything excessive could be deemed unenforceable. 9. No clear exit clause or early termination conditions. If you need to break your lease early, it's important that the agreement outlines the conditions under which you can do so without facing heavy penalties. Some leases may have unreasonable terms regarding early termination, such as requiring months of notice or charging excessive fees. What to look for? Ensure the lease provides a clear exit clause, including the notice period and any fees associated with early termination. Be sure that the penalties are fair and that the process for ending the lease early is straightforward. 10. Landlord's right to enter the property without notice. Landlords have the legal right to enter the rental property for specific reasons, such as repairs or inspections, but they must provide reasonable notice. A lease agreement that gives the landlord unrestricted access to your home at any time without notice is a serious invasion of privacy. What to look for? The lease should specify the conditions under which the landlord can enter the property, along with a reasonable notice period, usually 24 to 48 hours. This ensures that your privacy is respected and that you are not caught off guard by unannounced visits. Before signing any lease agreement, it's vital to carefully review the terms and conditions to avoid any unpleasant surprises. Pay attention to red flags that could potentially cause financial strain or legal issues down the road. By understanding these common pitfalls, you can ensure that your lease is fair, transparent, and aligned with your needs. If you're unsure about any clauses in the lease, consider consulting a legal professional or a tenants' rights organization for clarification before you sign.